Murph Littlefield in the funny car takes off from the starting line. His car gets out of control, hits the guardrail. His body flips off. A fire. Luckily, he's unharmed. The track rescue unit there immediately to put out the fire to make sure he's not hurt. Murph Littlefield, consoled by a very concerned, emotional wife. I wonder if they're thinking about the next time he has to attack that quarter of a mile. The drama started early on this, the final day of competition, as some of the familiar names had problems. One of those top names was funny car driver Raymond Beadle, who'd been running very consistent and was #2 qualifier. He seemed to sense to arrive in the finals, but on this day it just was not meant to be. After giving us an exhibition in driving, he wins the race. But his parachute fails to open. He crashed at over 150 miles an hour. And this is what he wound up with: a mutilated Blue Max. Out of the drag race for the rest of the day. One of the biggest names in drag racing the past 20 years, Don the Snake Prudhomme, has been having his problems of late. They continued in Pomona. His car stalled before he even got to the starting line.
We're trying to stay current. That's the main thing in any sport. You know, when you have the edge in automobile racing, you read the newspapers that guys win, for 2 or 3 years in a row, then lose it. It's because someone come along with a new trick idea. And right now we're looking for one ourselves, but it's just not something that we've lost interest. It's just something we haven't got going for us right now that we're trying to get back.
The upsets and the unexpected continued as 1982-83 world champion funny car driver Frank Hawley and his Chi-Town Hustler lost control from the starting line. His car went across the center line, automatically disqualifying him from the race. With some great driving, he avoided a crash.
Well, what happens is the first time I've ever crossed the center line since I've been driving this car in 4 years. And what you worry about mostly is the lack of consideration for the other driver.
We are ready for the semifinals in the funny car class. It'll be Al Segrini going against John Force. Both drivers have been in the pits preparing their cars for this race, making adjustments in their clutches, changes in fuel mixture. It's been a very difficult track today. The track's been slick. It's been sticky. They've had problems keeping the car straight, getting the horsepower to stick to the ground, not smoking those tires. John Force got here because Don Prudhomme failed to get his car started. Al Segrini beat Little John Lombardo. The drivers are ready. They're on the starting line. They'll now wait for the Christmas tree. The green light, they're off. Segrini with a good start, but his car gets out of shape. John Force's car smokes the tires. Not a real good time, but Al Segrini is the winner, a 6.50. Only 229 miles an hour, but that important factor is his. He's in the finals against the winner of this semifinal race, Tim Gross in the white funny car, who got here because Frank Hawley disqualified himself. He goes against Tom Oswald, who got here because Raymond Beadle crashed his car and couldn't show up. Gross against Oswald. They get ready. They're off. Gross with a real good start, keeps his car straight. Tom Oswald having problems. And Gross with a great time of 5.95, 241 miles an hour. He's in the final, and he goes against Al Segrini. Man, I can't wait to see this one. It's Tim Gross against Al Segrini in the finals of the funny car. We talked to both of them about their strategy for this race.
We're not trying to overpower the track. A lot of the bigger guys, I think they're trying to get the big numbers like during qualifying. We've decided to let's stick with something like low 590 passes, and we can win this race. If we overpower the racetrack, we're going to be all over the track also.
As long as I can stick it in high gear without smoking the tires, we'll win a drag race.
Two different opinions, but there's only going to be one winner. As we take a look at Tim Gross. Al Segrini won this race in 1982. Going to try to repeat in 1984. Tim Gross for his second time in the finals. As they line up, there they go! Al Segrini gets the jump on Tim Gross right from the start, and looks like he's in a ball of fire. His blower's gone already. He's won the race in 5.96, but look at his car bounce around, completely out of control. There he is. Keep coming, keep coming. All right, all right. Oh, man, what a tough victory. What a tough way to win. I guess it's all worth it. We take a look back as the fire shoots from the side of those cars. Al Segrini, the victor. Close to the finish line, his car bursts into flames. What a tough way to win.
I've been driving now, I'll say 10 years professionally, and this is my first fire, and I'm telling you, when the guys say it gets hot in there, it gets hot in there, I'm telling you. But boy, I think everything's okay. I mean, it's a shame we did this, but we didn't want to end like this, but we're in the winner's circle. We're starting 84 off good.
Ron Correnti of Otterbein, Indiana, took his shot at the straight line quarter-mile racetrack. Correnti was near the finish line when disaster struck. A massive supercharger explosion literally blew the body off the car high into the air. The ensuing fire engulfed Correnti in flames. Protected by his fireproof driving suit, Correnti brought the bodiless car under control and to a safe stop. Another qualifying incident found Paul Smith of Boynton Beach, Florida, driving Jerome Bradford's brand new '84 Corvette-bodied funny car in much the same situation. Smith was near the end of the racetrack when an engine explosion led to a fire. This time, the fiberglass body stayed on the car and Smith struggled for control. The fire caused handling problems and the Inferno took a left turn off the track into the woods. There we discovered a totally destroyed race car, but we found an uninjured Paul Smith.
Paul, you feeling okay?
I'm fine.
Horrible fire and then the woods to contend with.
Brand new car, second run.
A tough break for Smith and Bradford. Earlier today, the largest crowd in Gator Nationals history was treated to a touch of drama in the first round of eliminations as the low qualifier Tim Gross raced the number 9 funny car qualifier John Force. Based on his record-shattering 5.78 second elapsed time mark, Gross in the near lane should have been an easy victor. But nothing comes easy in championship drag racing as Tim Gross watched his early lead turn to defeat as mechanical problems slowed his car just a few hundred feet from the finish, allowing Force the win. The 15th annual NHRA Gator Nationals, and we're getting ready for the second round of competition in one of the most exciting categories of all, the fabulous funny cars. Over 2,500 horsepower under the fiberglass replica bodies of late model American cars. This matches Kenny Bernstein against Mark Oswald. Bernstein, the winner of the U.S. Nationals title, you saw it all on Diamond P Sports last year, up against Mark Oswald, the driver for the Louisiana-based team of Candies and Hughes. And some problems set in for Candies and Hughes as Oswald is guiding the car backwards, the crew helping push it back. Something apparently wrong with the car, and that gives an easy run to Kenny Bernstein in his Ford Tempo-bodied entry. This car has been in the wind tunnel, and it's got a lot of developments that Kenny says are going to make it one of the fastest funny cars ever built. Kenny already has speeds over 255 miles an hour to his credit. He has the option here of taking an easy run. What's he going to do? It looks like he's going to hold it all the way through. And for Bernstein, look at that, 5.79 seconds and a new record-shattering speed of 257 miles an hour as Mark Oswald looks on with his car owners Leonard Hughes and Paul Candies, disappointed obviously, going out here in round number 2 of racing at the Gator Nationals. Our next pair already fired. This is Billy Meyer from Waco, Texas. The fiberglass body being lowered down over the driver and the engine, the sleek Mustang body cutting through the air, providing the stability for these drivers to run over 255 miles an hour. Let's go down now to Steve, who's got Kenny Bernstein.
Kenny Bernstein on a single run sets the all-time funny car speed record. Kenny, 257 miles an hour. You already have a backup.
Boy, that's super, I'll tell you. It's tough out there today, but this car, it's just going right down through there nice and smooth, and Armstrong and the crew, it's their baby, they're doing it.
You're the only one I've heard use the word smooth.
Yeah, I'm really surprised because everyone is having some trouble, but we're not shaking. It may be quiver to taste then, you know, just a teeny bit, but nothing bad at all.
So 570s, 257. What more will the track hold?
Well, I don't think it'll hold much more for sure.
And it's cooling off a little bit. That could help.
It could. I hope it does.
Kenny Bernstein goes into the semis. What a pass.
Bernstein giving credit to his crew chief Dale Armstrong, also one of those teams using the onboard computer. Here's our next pair. Billy Meyer in the near lane against Al Segrini. Segrini of southeastern Massachusetts, winner of the recent Winter Nationals Championship. For Billy Meyer, he started in the sport at the age of 16, has never driven anything but a fuel-burning funny car. Segrini with his work cut out for him. Billy Meyer, this brand new car has been running in the 580s. The car capable of elapsed times even quicker, according to Billy. For Al Segrini and his Pontiac Trans Am bodied car, he says, I'm going to stop him right here. And it's Billy Meyer out in front. The car beginning to move towards the center line. He pulls away from it and drives to the finish. A little bit of smoke out of the engine. 6.17 seconds the elapsed time as Al Segrini, with lots of problems, just shuts the motor off and coasts through. Our next pair sitting fired, approaching the water, getting ready to do their burnout. This is John Collins from Long Beach, California, qualified number 2 in this very tough funny car field. Against Collins is John Force. We saw him earlier as he took the big win over the number 1 qualifier, Tim Gross. Here is Al Segrini, the winner of the Winter Nationals, very disappointed.
Well, Billy Meyer always pleased with a win light, but he won't be pleased with the performance. 617.
No, well, it left on 7 cylinders and shook my brains out, and I had to lift a couple times, and so we're lucky just to get the win light.
Kenny Bernstein is the only driver that has come down here and said his car is smooth, not shaking.
Well, ours didn't first round at all. I don't know what happened then except the drop cylinder caused it from no horsepower.
John Collins and John Force in this second round of racing. For Collins, his best performance ever. He qualified with a 5.84 second elapsed time. His home base is Long Beach, California. John Force, a bridesmaid many times from Fullerton, California.
You haven't won the big one yet. What is it going to take? What is the missing link for your team?
We've naturally, up to now, it's been experience on my driving part. Getting a crew chief like Larry Frazier that can make the car consistent where I can learn how to drive, and naturally the money. And I think the only thing left is a little luck like we had today.
You know, you are so down on your driving that if you talk to the competition, they have tremendous respect for your driving ability.
Well, you're the first that said that. Maybe they don't want to tell me they got to race me, but I appreciate that. And we have worked real hard, and I've practiced a lot and try to drive the car on a repeating type of basis. So me and the crew chief Frazier, we can keep the program working in the same consistency that it's had.
John Collins using an engine built by Lee Beard and Gary Ormsby out of the top fuel camp, and look at him go as John Force goes up in smoke near the center line. He drives away for it, and for Collins, his elapsed time 6.09 seconds. That's the amount of time it takes to travel the racetrack, a quarter of a mile in a straight line from a standing start. For John Force, this is not to be his first ever big win. You see in the far lane, Force going up in smoke. That meaning the tires losing traction, and that automatically is giving the win to Collins.
Well, this is John Collins' finest year of drag racing in a long, long time. Another round down.
It is, Steve, and I'll tell you, it was a tough one when you come up against Force. He's done real well for the last 12 months, and we got by the snake first round and Force the second round. So we've taken 2 easy ones here, and
the center line got a little close.
Well, yeah, the car got pretty loose out there that time, and I had to backpedal a little bit and then get back in it. But it'll run better.
609.
That was bad. That was why it got loose out there. It slowed down when it got loose out there.
Okay, so John Collins goes into semifinals. Those words have to sound good.
John Collins defeating Don Prudhomme in round number 1 and John Force in round number 2 to reach the semifinals. This now our final pair in the second round of funny car racing. Tom the Mongoose McEwen in the near lane completing his burnout, and crewman Fred Miller for the Blue Max completing the starting procedure on 2,500 horsepower plus. The Mustang fiberglass body dropped down over driver Raymond Beadle as he approaches the water to get ready to do his burnout. The burnout's necessary to heat the tires. They provide more traction the hotter they get. This is a race between two real veterans of funny car wars. Tom McEwen in the Corvette-bodied car in the near lane hails from Fountain Valley, California, regarded by many as one of the premier drivers of any type of vehicle. For Raymond Beadle, operator of a complex of racing equipment and machinery, including the funny car, a NASCAR car, and a sprint car, Raymond Beadle and the Blue Max operation will be racing, and there's something going wrong with the Coors Corvette. The body comes up. That means there are serious problems underneath, and they've obviously shut it off. And what a break for the Blue Max, Ray Beadle out of Dallas, Texas. He gets an easy go into the semifinals. He heads towards the center line, backs out of it, and just coasts through. So it's a big break for Raymond Beadle as his competition, Tom the Mongoose McEwen, suffered some problems on the starting line. McEwen taking off his helmet and his fire mask, and that's a tough break for him. We're set now for the semifinals of Funny Car Eliminator. It will be Texas Thunder, the nitro-burning horsepower of two Dallas, Texas-based funny cars. This is Kenny Bernstein, the winner of the U.S. Nationals. Raymond Beadle, the driver for the Blue Max. His engine started. He lets Bernstein do his burnout first. Obviously, Beadle does not want to build as much heat in his motor as Bernstein uses in his. The drivers meet before the run. They work out who's going to start first, who is going to do the longer burnout. So when all of the burnout procedures are completed, they both approach the starting line at the same time. It is Funny Car Semifinals. The Blue Max, Raymond Beadle against Kenny Bernstein in the near lane. Bernstein has been dominant throughout eliminations. Can the string hold? Into the staging beams comes both cars. The tree's green and Bernstein's gone. The Blue Max Mustang goes up in smoke, and Bernstein with a Ford tempo. Look at the elapsed time, 5.79 seconds. No slouch in the speed department at over 256 miles an hour. John Collins against Billy Meyer. This the final race in this semifinal round of competition. Again, Collins first out of the water box, first to do the burnout. Billy Meyer from Waco, Texas, deciding to wait just a moment or two before he starts the engine in his car. The body down, and now his Mustang-bodied creation heads across the starting line, laying down that trail of rubber so important to these racers to provide the traction they need. Steve?
Back-to-back 579s, 256.
Well, that's super. The consistency, obviously, right now with us today. One more time, though, it's got to do it to make it all worthwhile.
And lane choice seems to be just mandatory if you're going to win here today, so far.
So far, as we said earlier, the left lane doesn't seem as good as the right, and we certainly want to stay over unless something strange happens to the right lane.
Billy Meyer has been racing funny cars since he was 16 years old. That's right, the first car he ever drove down a drag strip was a nitro-burning funny car. He has never driven anything since that time. This a brand new car, only the second race ever. His competition, John Collins, number 2 qualifier, and Collins begins to pull away. Both cars very close, and it is John Collins with a tremendous upset win and going into his first ever final round. Let's watch again. You see Collins and Meyer both having problems as they leave the starting line. Meyer's car losing traction ever so slightly, a wisp of smoke out of John Collins. As we look from another angle, you see they are still locked together side by side as they enter the timing traps, and at the finish line, only a few feet separate the two cars.
John Collins comes down and tells Billy Meyer, I thought you beat me. And well, he might have, because Meyer was closing at 239 miles an hour, much faster than John himself. But for John Collins, his first ever final round appearance at an NHRA national event.
Oh, Steve, it sure is. I'm real pleased. My car didn't run worth a darn that time, though. I don't know what was wrong with it. It wouldn't leave the starting line. And Billy, like I say, when I got out of the car, I thought Billy had won because he came by me pretty fast in the lights.
All eyes on this huge crowd riveted on the starting line as we get set for the final in Funny Car Eliminator. Kenny Bernstein has been the dominant car, but the surprising John Collins from Long Beach, California, qualified number 2 and is now in the finals against Bernstein. Into the staging beams, both cars leave on a green light. And it's a very close race. Kenny Bernstein in the near lane begins to pull away, and a tremendous run. And ladies and gentlemen, 260 miles an hour by a funny car as Kenny Bernstein shatters all performance standards for speed, and crew chief Dale Armstrong receiving the congratulations for Kenny Bernstein's effort as he drove that Ford tempo-bodied car through the entire quarter-mile distance and the timing traps to run over 260 miles an hour.
The first funny car ever tested in a wind tunnel, thanks to Ford, and boy, did it pay off. 260, it sounds like science fiction.
It's getting that way, isn't it? I'm telling you, I don't know where it's going to stop. It's just going to get better.
Let's hope the winning doesn't stop for the Budweiser King and Kenny Bernstein. Here comes a crew that is second to none right now in funny car racing. Still cannot believe what they saw on the scoreboard. 260 miles an hour. It's called nitromethane. It costs $40 a gallon. Can be very hazardous to your bank account. The average funny car or fuel dragster consumes 10 to 12 gallons each and every run. I'll let you do the mathematics. It frightens me a little bit. At one time, 50% nitro to alcohol was considered a strong blend. Now it's a lot like a dry martini. They just kind of wave the alcohol can over this nitro. It's 90-95% in a lot of cases. And when you have this kind of horsepower, you figure nitromethane doubles the output of an engine. A lot of unpredictable things can happen.
You have just witnessed one of the most incredible crashes in the history of all motorsports. Ed McCullough and John Collins collided at half track during a qualifying run, and this happened.
It's McCullough in the near lane. The wheels are in the air. He has no steering. Suddenly, his Oldsmobile funny car makes a dead right-hand turn and hits John Collins right where a driver's door would be in a passenger car, and they go for a tumble. Onto the knife edge of the rail goes McCullough. The car is starting to come apart. It is Collins upside down, sliding into McCullough's lane and into the guardrail. Now it's McCullough in front of Collins. Nose first into the rail, the fuel tank explodes, and Collins slides through the fire.
It is a combination of good fortune and the excellent NHRA safety standards that permit both these men to walk away from this awesome crash.
Even at this point, there was still potential danger. Raw fuel pouring out of the tank of the John Collins car. Miraculously, it did not ignite.
As the massive crowd sat in stunned silence and safety crews rushed toward the automobiles, the two drivers struggled out of the wreckage and hugged each other in a celebration of life. Steve Evans reached John Collins moments later.
John, first of all, you're okay?
I'm okay, Steve. Thank you. I appreciate it. That was quite some ride there. Both cars seemed to leave the line pretty good. My car was running on a really good run, and Ed pulled up alongside of me, and I looked out the side window. I could see him, and the next thing I seen is he drove right into the side of me.
You didn't waste any time getting onto the car. It looked like you kind of fell on your head in there.
Well, you know, I'll tell you, Steve, I skidded on my lid, I think, on the roof for I can't say how far it was, but I know it was a few hundred feet. And there was a little bit of fire underneath the car from my fuel tank, so I popped my belts and I just kind of wormed myself out of the car, but it wasn't fun.
Both automobiles were reduced to small hunks of bent metal. This is Collins' car, shattered completely beyond repair, and about all that was left of McCullough's automobile was the big, fuel-burning, supercharged engine. Steve had a chance to talk with Ed McCullough as well.
Well, Ace, the thing that drag racers dread the most is a two-car incident like that. And first of all, you're okay?
Yeah, I'm all right, Steve. I don't know. I really don't know exactly what happened. I mean, the thing, you know, it squirted on out there okay, and I mean, it made a right-hand turn, and I mean, when it left, I mean, there was no correcting it. Yeah, I don't know.
John's okay, by the way.
Yeah, first thing I did when I got out down here is I went and saw John. And I'm glad he's not hurt. I'm glad I'm not hurt, but you know, there's just something that you know, you just really takes the wind out of your sails, you know.
I'll bet it does. So Ed McCullough is obviously okay, as is John Collins.
But this is a moment they will never forget.
They shake, they rattle, and sometimes they even roll. AA fuel funny cars, the first pair in the second round firing up here at the NHRA Cajun Nationals. I'm Steve Evans with Brock Yates. and Ed Bruce. And you know, Brock, funny car. What an unfortunate title for a very sophisticated and beautiful racing machine.
It sure is, Steve. You know, they started out as kind of modifications of the super stock automobiles in the mid-'60s, and as the guys began to jockey around with the wheelbases and change the displacements in the engines, and pretty soon somebody said, oh, let's forget about production. Let's just put a fiberglass lid on the top of this thing and a giant motor. Really, underneath, they're more like short wheelbase AA fuelers than they are any other kind of drag racing automobile.
In fact, the engine is virtually identical to that we saw for Joe Amato and Gary Beck in Top Fuel. If anything, these may make a little more horsepower. They run them harder. The body latching down on Al Segrini's car, a faint replica, as you called it, of a Pontiac Firebird.
Well, Segrini, from up in the Boston area, a long-time participant in the Funny Car Wars, he was an upset winner here last year, Steve.
He was, Brock, and also won the opening race of this season, the Winter Nationals at the LA County Fairgrounds in Pomona, California. Al Segrini won that race, by the way, in a ball of fire right at the finish line. Jim Head, this is his first year in funny car competition, but he served a lot of seasons as a Top Fuel dragster driver. He's an electrical contractor from Columbus, Ohio.
This should be a good matchup. Head there in that beautiful red automobile going up against the green Pontiac of Al Segrini.
Had a chance to talk to Head a little earlier in the pits, and he said, Steve, I'd just love to get a 590 even at this race. So he's taking his funny car career seriously and also very conservatively, because with that motor in the front, it's a whole new ballgame.
Short wheelbase, big power, kind of cramped down in there. Totally different driving environment than in the Top Fuel automobiles.
Well, these cars are not nearly as stable. The visibility and vision is very limited in the machines. They have a hard time even seeing the Christmas tree until they're right up there in stage.
Not to mention that it gets about 4 million degrees inside those things. It's like riding around inside a cement mixer with the heat turned up.
Kind of like a fiberglass wrapped baked potato. And a constant danger factor here, as we saw earlier, that qualifying two-car collision between Ed McCullough and John Collins. I still can't get over that.
I sure can't either. Fortunately for these roll cages that the drivers are packaged inside, and the terrific safety rules of the NHRA really keep the cars a lot safer than they look.
Al Segrini is off the mark first, but look at Jim Head. Head is out in front. The rookie in funny car wins it, defeating the defending champion. 599, 245 miles an hour for Jim Head. Jim, there's your 590s.
And that's got to make them happy. Even though Al Segrini did have some problems, it was a good solid run for Head. As we take a peek under the flip top of the Camaro funny car of Jim White out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, Steve.
Jim is a policeman for the city of Tulsa, Brock, and the car is owned by Dick Moritz, who has been drag racing since the invention of asphalt, just forever. But this is by far the prettiest car he has ever had, equipped, as you can see, with 2 parachutes, and I have a feeling someday that may even be mandatory. And here comes the crowd-pleasing smoky burnouts. But they do more than just entertain the fans. It heats up the racetrack, lays down some hot, sticky rubber. If you were to bring a funny car to the starting line without a burnout, the way they're set up now, they would instantly lose traction.
And White's competition, one of the toughest guys in the business, touring professional Dale Poldy. As we see White back to the line, let's go to the other end with Steve Evans.
Well, Jim Head said earlier he'd settle for one of those 590s. That is exactly what you got. 99, I believe.
My first 5.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
And also your first semifinal in a funny car.
Yes, it is.
Did you think it would come this soon, only your second big NHRA race?
I really hoped it would. I mean, you need brakes and you need to go down the track, and we're trying to do both. But, I'm definitely getting the brakes.
Do you feel a little more confident now maybe to step it up and try to get a 580 or a lower 90?
I don't know. It depends on what it looks like when I get back. And if it's safe, we'll definitely lean on it. If it's not safe, I'm not burning it up.
Well, good luck to you. And here's your helmet. Last time you ran over it down here.
That's not a good plan at all.
Okay, Jim Head is a happy young man. Deserves to be.
He sure is. As Jim White backs her into line, getting ready to go up against Dale Poldy. Jim White, one of the real sportsmen in this business, a cop off the beat at this particular time as they put the lid down from Tulsa, Oklahoma. He has to be considered an underdog in this particular race, going up against a solid veteran like Dale Poldy, a neighbor of Don Perdome, incidentally, Steve.
He is, and I'll tell you, Poldy is such a hard worker. They destroyed a car, Brock, testing in Phoenix, Arizona just a couple of weeks ago and had to resurrect one of their older Warrior cars. So this is not necessarily Poldy's front line machine.
But sufficient, he hopes, to dispose of Jim White in the second round of competition here at the Cajun Nationals as they get ready to let him out of the cage.
You see the blower belt spinning there, Brock. It's engine driven by the crankshaft, the belt up to an idler pulley and across that top pulley that is the supercharger with the fuel injector bolted on top.
the supercharger being, in essence, just a great big pump that pushes a whole lot of fuel and air into the engine.
And in some cases, they're driving that supercharger at 50% over the actual engine RPM, maybe accounting for some of the spectacular blower explosions we've seen this season.
And also accounting for maybe 3 times the horsepower to get with normal aspiration, as Jim White loses traction and Dale Pulley goes on to win it, Steve.
$5.99 for Dale Pulley. Poor Jim White was really never in the fight.
Yep, there he goes, coasting to a stop, not even quick enough to pop the chutes. In fact, only 84 miles an hour for the quarter mile. As we have another look at it, there is Jim White, closest to the camera, and immediately going up into smoke, and for all intents and purposes, the race was over right there. Steve is with the winner.
Well, I'd hope to see happy Dale Pulley get out of the Warrior car with a wind light here going in semifinals, but it's with mixed emotions as he looks under the car, sees a big puddle of oil, and they have broken another rod. I say another because, Dale, you destroyed one motor in qualifying. Now this one, does that leave you with anything?
Well, we've got one, and we're going to have to debate about putting it in. It's halfway together, and I don't know. We haven't found the problem, and I hate to just keep going out there and destroying something. I don't want to see something get, happen. We already lost one car this year.
Yes, you have. If indeed Dale can't come back, that would be a break for either Kenny Bernstein or Billy Meyer, who would be your opponent in the semi.
Yeah, I know it, boy. I hope the breaks for Billy. No offense to Kenny, but I guess we're just going to have to go back and just look over the situation and see what we've got. We've got one more to put in it, but we just got to find out why it's doing it. I don't want to lose another car.
We'll visit you in the pits. Thank you, Dale.
Thank you very much.
The Thundering Funny Cars continue in round 2 action here at the NHRA Cajun Nationals. I'm Steve Evans along with Brock Yates and Ed Bruce, and this is the fastest funny car of them all. Kenny Bernstein out of Dallas, Texas. 260 miles an hour at the Gator Nationals this year, and that record still stands. May for a long time, Brock.
Right, the only funny car ever to go 260 miles an hour, and the only one of the very few funny cars ever to have been inside a wind tunnel, and that apparently was what paid off in terms of those big speed numbers.
Well, Billy Meyer was the second car into that wind tunnel in Marietta, Georgia, and he came out of the tunnel, went right to the Southern Nationals, which was the last race in the series, and won it, much like Bernstein did the Gators. So definitely they are benefiting from that wind tunnel.
And theoretically, we could see some monster speeds between one of these two cars as Bernstein and Meyer get ready to run. Kenny Bernstein, one of the most progressive of the funny car owners. Dale Armstrong, his crew chief, one of the best. Billy Meyer, also on the leading edge of technology. Steve had a look at his car.
The first thing the wind tunnel test told Billy Meyer and crew was to seal up these side windows. Where before they were either wide open or a short abbreviated window, they're now sealed with Lexan plastic. Certainly not as comfortable for Billy inside the car, but no sacrifice too great for a quicker elapsed time. The next thing they learned, the car was surrounded by turbulent air, dirty air the engineers call it. So they added around the front the aluminum lip and also down the sides. This forces the air over the car instead of under it, making for better aerodynamics. They also cleaned up and streamlined the front fender wells to force the air around the car instead of through it. At the back of the car, they really learned some things. They've long had these spoilers at the back, but you can see by the old holes here where the former spoiler was bolted, there was very little air in here. They were not getting the downforce they wanted. The wind tunnel told them, out here is where the air is. So they have re-engineered this entire spoiler, and it really works. Also have streamlined the rear fender wells as well. And the next step for the next race, Billy says, is to seal the bottom of the car, a ground effects tunnel, much like a road racer might have. Did all of this work? Well, Billy Meyer rolled out of the wind tunnel and won his very next race with a record equaling 5:73 elapsed time. You bet it works.
All right, there goes Billy Meyer in that beautifully aerodynamic automobile backing in, and the equally streamlined car, Kenny Bernstein's coming in as well. This could be one exciting race and one that perhaps could break that top speed record of Bernstein, Steve.
You know, in that piece, Brock, we just saw, I pointed out that the windows are sealed up now. Well, that's why Meyer has got the escape hatch open there, trying to get some ventilation. It gets mighty warm in there.
Oh, boy, no AC in these babies. So there goes Bernstein and his last burnout to get those tires heated up and get the engine temperatures up to where they belong. So as we see Billy Meyer getting ready to very carefully stage that automobile, it takes some real, you can't see much in those things, Steve, so you got to be very careful about not getting beyond those lights.
And you got to trust the man out in front. In this case, it was Billy's crew chief, Jim Duffy, who motioned forward. Now Billy can see the tree. You saw Duffy just glance in there, no doubt to look at the oil pressure gauge, make sure everything was all right from that standpoint.
These cars, certainly the noisiest and most violent, most essentially unstable and exciting automobiles ever to go on a racetrack.
Kenny Bernstein is up in smoke, driving it with everything he's got, but it's not going to be enough. Billy Meyer wins it, goes into the semis at 594, 250 miles an hour.
Boy, what an A for effort for Kenny Bernstein. He got it sideways and wouldn't get out of it, just stayed in that throttle and tried to catch up, but not enough.
Well, they waste no time lighting up the next pair. It is going to be the hometown favorite, Mark Oswald of the Candies and Hughes machine, and this car with the body now coming down, Tim Gross, the beautiful Pontiac Firebird. Now, Tim got into the second round by beating Mike Dunn in the first round. Dunn in the far lane, and you talk about close drag races, and the reason they have a computer to call the winner. Wow. Tim Gross around Mike Dunn at 6 flat, 239 miles an hour, but he had some problems in the rear end of the automobile. The differential apparently going away on him. I talked to Tim as they worked on the car. Well, for Tim Gross, the motor's the easy part. Apparently it's the rear end giving you problems, Tim, the differential?
Yes, unfortunately. We had the exact same problem after first run, I believe it was, at Pomona, the Winter Nationals. And Billy Meyer was kind enough to loan his rear end to us, and now we just came in the same predicament, and Captain Crazy Group loaned us their third member.
Okay, you've got a tough customer this next round. The hometown favorite, the low qualifier, Oswald.
You bet. And we kind of anticipated that, too. We looked at the sheet, the ladder as to what would happen during the course of eliminations if we got by first round. We knew we were going to face the toughest guys in the ballpark.
And this is one of the toughest guys, Mark Oswald, the hired gun of the famed Candies and Hughes team from just down the road in the bayou in Houma, Louisiana.
And as you might imagine, Brock, this crowd is riding with the red car in the far lane, hoping they get one more win light than they did last year. If you recall, it was Al Segrini over Mark Oswald in the final round. The car then was blue, however.
This Candies and Hughes team always feels a front runner, of course, famed for their top fuel dragsters for a long, long time, since before their conversion to the funny car ranks, and they've been big successes ever since.
And Mark Oswald made the conversion from a top fuel driver to a funny car driver faster than I've ever seen it done. Here is Tim Gross. He has really only raced funny cars in his long career. There was a time when we used to say, well, Tim Gross doesn't have the parts or pieces to be competitive. Well, he's got some more financial backing this year, and who knows? He may be right among the thick of things when the season's done.
Well, if desire counts, Tim Gross ought to be a world champion. He works on the cars. He's his own chief mechanic as we see him stage against the famed Candies and Hughes car driven by Mark Oswald. And they pull the trigger, a good start, but Gross gets a little bit sideways out near the center line, and Mark Oswald drives away at a 588, 257 miles an hour. Just a wink away from Kenny Bernstein's record-setting 260. We thought we were going to see some big speeds here at the Cajun Nationals, and already we've seen Mark Oswald run 257 miles an hour to get into the semifinals against Jim Head. The other pairing, Dale Pulte versus Billy Meyer. Steve?
Here at Dale Pulte's pits, he and his partner Mike Hamby have taken a parts inventory, and the decision is what?
We're not going to go up for the next round. We can't really pinpoint the problem of what's going on, why the car keeps... It's burning bearings out of it. It's not an oiling problem. We think it's a problem somewhere in the clutch or the tune-up or something like that. And it's plagued us this weekend. It's plagued us on and off before. And we're just going to take everything all apart and see if we can go through the fine-tooth comb and see if we can find the problem.
Before you have a fire.
Yeah, I already had one here not too long ago for the same thing. And I lost one car. This car doesn't rightfully belong to us. We're borrowing it till our other car is going to be finished in about 3 weeks. And I hate to take a brand new car and turn around and give it to this guy and have to build another one. But I just don't want to see anything bad happen out of it. We've been very fortunate, and I think we just better call it quits for the weekend.
Engines already fired and pounding the ground for the semifinal round of funny car competition here at the NHRA Cajun Nationals in Baton Rouge. I'm Steve Evans along with Brock Yates and Ed Bruce. And Brock, quite a contrast here. Jim Head in the near lane in his first season of funny car racing up against the hometown favorite and just about the quickest funny car in the world, Mark Oswald for Candies and Hughes.
Well, Steve, you know, both these guys had long records in the top fuel ranks before converting to the funny cars. As you said, Mark Oswald is a real veteran, got a lot of seat time in one of these funny cars, and this is the first season for Jim Head. So it's kind of the old veteran versus the youngster.
Well, Jim Head said, I won't burn it to win it. You heard Billy Meyer say if Oswald makes a mistake, Head will beat him. There is the mistake. Mark Oswald has lost traction, trying to keep the power down and drive out of the smoke. How about Jim Head? What a happy man he must be. 608, 245 miles an hour. Not a happy crowd, however, as their main man goes down to defeat Mark Oswald.
Well, here's a classic example of just tromping on the throttle too hard. It's interesting, though, some guys would get out of it. Oswald, just as you said, drove right on through, stayed on the throttle, and really almost caught up with Head near the end of the run.
Well, Jim Head has been drag racing for at least 15 years, but this has to be the most magic moment he's experienced yet. You're in the finals.
Yes, I'm glad. I'm real happy.
You know, you outsmarted them a little bit. You let them go out there and beat themselves.
What do you do? I don't know.
Smoke the tires.
Well, we didn't. What did we run?
A 608, Jim.
Well, that's a little weak. I may have done a little wrong myself because we definitely slowed down. But boy, it's so hot. It's really hard to figure out how to make these things run in this heat.
A little hard to figure out how to do what I'm doing too in this heat. Your crew is going to be very, very excited. Now's the time you're going to have to calm everybody down and take a very careful approach to the prep for this final.
They're good. They really are. I mean, they're not the known names, but believe me, they're very, very good.
Well,
they're the only reason I'm here. There's no question about it.
May not have a lot of flashy chrome or a corporate logo on the side, but it's in the final, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Jim Head, one more round to go.
And one happy young man in Jim Head. All right, Billy Meyer on the line. Don't forget, he's got a single. Dale Poldy's hurt motor could not be repaired, so he will not appear. But don't forget, an important run for Billy Meyer because this will give him lane choice against Jim Head.
It will give him lane choice if he can run quicker than the elapsed time Jim Head just posted of 6:08. That's how lane choice works. The quicker of the two cars from the previous round determines which lane he would like to be in. So Billy Meyer, his opponent, is the clock, and the clock is now running. What a beautiful, straight, strong run. I think he's got it. He does. Billy Meyer has lane choice. In fact, he has low ET of the entire event. 581, 246 miles an hour.
As we take a look at Jim Head getting ready to go in the funny car finals, this young man has to be viewed as a major underdog. It's his first championship round in funny car ranks. He's unsponsored, and what's more, he's going against an awesome car driven by Billy Meyer. But Jim Head came loaded for bear himself.
You'd never know looking at his operation that Jim Head is what they call a low-dollar racer. The beautiful Peterbilt conventional tractor, a 45-foot trailer that is just outstanding. Head and his guys built it all themselves with their own hands. His race car is identical to Candy's and Hughes, except he bought his in a kit and put it together himself in 11 days. But this might give you some idea. This is dinner for Jim Head and his all-volunteer crew. Of course, maybe if they win the Cajun Nationals, they might hit one of the high-dollar Cajun restaurants in town, but I have a feeling win or lose, this will be dinner. They're an outstanding group of racers, and they've got to be really encouraged with their performance today, considering it's their second national event as funny car competitors. Head, if you like these medium, you better get over here, son.
Well, I'll tell you, Steve, they probably ended up looking like little asphalt cakes because the guys were working hard to get his race car ready. He is on the line now. They're about ready to close that body down on him, and he's going to go after his first ever NHRA National Championship race.
You're so right, Brock. The last thing on their mind was having one of those hamburgers. I just gave them to some fans and rushed right back up here. He's up against Billy Meyer, and you could tell by the tone in Billy Meyer's voice earlier when he talked to Jim Head, there was great respect there. He knows that Head is not going to make very many mistakes. He's not going to burn it up to beat him. He'll be there to stage. He'll be there at the finish line, and Billy's just got to hope to be in front of him.
He sure does. Of course, Meyer, as we said earlier, has already racked up quick time of this meet. So he has got a bunch of power in hand. That's a really aerodynamic automobile, and he is ready.
And one of the men on Billy Meyer's crew videotapes each and every run on this car. They take it back to their truck where they have a player, and what they look for most is what's happening to the tire, the kind of traction, the kind of contortions the tire's going through. They don't much care about anything else in that video, but what is happening with that tire.
Well, there's all kinds of technology built into these race cars. You'd think it would be pretty simple just to drive a car down a straight stretch of road for only 1,320 feet, but I'll tell you, all kinds of things go on in that run, and each one is diagnosed and carefully worked on by the crews.
And when it comes to the mechanics, they know there doesn't need to be a 500-mile warranty on these motors, not when you can see where you have to go to earn $20,000 in this funny car final. In my tour of the pitch just before these final rounds, I also had a chance to talk to Billy Meyer about the young man he is facing here in the final round. You know, I know, and even Jim Head knows, that his chances of matching your 581, he won't even try to do that. But that makes him dangerous because he's probably not going to smoke the tires.
No, that's true. He's ran a 602 first round, 601 second round, a 599, and he's going to be ready. So all we have to do is try to keep it in that 581 to 595 area, and I think we'll be okay.
No changes to the car at all from the round before?
No, the last time really all I did was drive the car different, and I think I'll just do the same thing. And like I said, unless something disastrous happens, it should still get down the racetrack.
You say drive the car. What have you been doing down the course to keep it hooked up?
Well, we have a lot of different valves in the car that we pull to richen it and lean it and stuff, and the way when we shift the car has a lot to do with it.
And your throttle foot?
And a throttle foot. I've had to use it every round but the one run, and with all my crew, with Jim Duffy and Jack Finnegar and Mark, kind of helping with the video and everything every run, and we kind of can learn quite a bit, and we talk it over, and we finally decided the last run there was no more changes we could make, and I just had to try some different driving.
Somewhere down the racetrack I hear you get on and off the pedal. Where is that?
So far it's been anywhere from 100 feet to 300 feet in the right lane every single time. I'm finally getting used to it, so that reaction's getting quicker and the ET's getting quicker each time.
We'll be watching. It's going to be a good final.
I hope so.
And I think, Brock, after talking to Billy as I did, you can look for him here to short shift that car. Translation, get it in high gear as quickly as possible. That minimizes the chances of smoking the tires at about a quarter track.
Well, Steve, based on the previous runs, Billy Meyer has about 0.2 of a second over Jim Head, so I'm sure his tactic is to use the superior horsepower at the far end of the racetrack.
And to not do what Mark Oswald did in that very same lane and blaze the tires. They leave right together. Jim Head and Billy Meyer, the funny car final. Billy Meyer just pulls it out at the other end. Billy Meyer ran only as hard as he had to his crew. Celebrating Meyer at 592, 249 miles an hour. You diagnosed it perfectly, Brock. He used his power at the other end. Witness the speed.
And Jim had run exactly what he'd been running before, a 601, just not enough to beat out Billy Meyer. Billy Meyer ran beautifully, used his car and the racetrack to perfect advantage, not driving it too hard, not taking any chances with it, just enough to drive past Jim Head and to take the Funny Car Championship here at the Cajun Nationals. An excellent drive by Billy Meyer, and really the man planned it right from the start. He told us how he was going to do it, and now he's done it.
So Billy Meyer makes it 2 in a row, winning the Funny Car category here at the Cajun Nationals after winning the previous race, the Southern Nationals in Atlanta, Georgia. Not coming up with the record elapsed times of Atlanta, but certainly enough to defeat a valiant effort by Jim Head. Billy Meyer, congratulations. That will put you in a virtual deadlock with Kenny Bernstein for the World Championship chase.
I appreciate it. Oh, thank heaven for 7-Eleven. Takes that kind of money to be able to do this kind of racing, and it's without the people like Chief and Sid going 7-Eleven and Valvoline, you just can't do it.
Sure, you're holding your breath in a race like that, just praying those tires stick.
It's the same thing. I shifted and just said, as long as it doesn't break, now we should do okay. And the thing's going so straight since we went to the forward wind tunnel. Everything's working perfect.
The Funny Cars. This one belongs to Frank Hawley, the reigning world champion. He's had some problems earlier in the season, but he may be on a roll here at Columbus. And the Snake, Don Prudhomme, he's had some problems as well, but he's running strong here. And so is another old pro, Raymond Beadle.
Billy Meyer of Waco, Texas, who has won the last 2 events on the circuit. We saw him win the Cajun Nationals, went up against John Force of Fullerton, California. And Force had a bit of a surprise here for Billy Meyer.
He sure did, because John Force was definitely the underdog in this particular race, but Force just drove by Billy Meyer in the last half of track and took a victory at 6:06, 242 miles an hour. A fine victory. Steve talked to him about it.
Anytime you can get around the hottest car on the circuit, the #1 qualifier, Billy Meyer, John Force, you got to be awfully pleased.
Tell you, we did it at Pomona. We got around Bernstein, #1 qualifier. We did it at Gainesville, and then Baton Rouge. I started getting that red light syndrome deal, and enough that it even changed my car. Last week at Bristol, the car wasn't running right. I found out that I was driving into the car and making it run different. The ETs fell way off. I told Fraser, I'm going back to beating that throttle. If I give him a red light, I'll take the embarrassment. It paid off here.
It certainly did in big. Going into round 2 is John Force.
But the surprises weren't over. This was Kenny Bernstein. Remember him, 260 miles an hour, the absolute funny car top speed record at the Gator Nationals. He came to the Spring Nationals loaded for bear. But it wasn't to be because he faced Sherm Gunn, Azusa, California. Again, a decided underdog, Steve.
Well, Sherm Gunn has been racing for years. In fact, this car in the near lane is 6 years old, but this is the first season he's gone out and run the entire NHRA National Event Circuit. And that experience paid off for Sherm, as Kenny Bernstein lost traction right off the starting line, battling for control, but to no avail as Sherm Gunn wins it at 6:14. Later, I talked to Kenny in the pits about the tire smoke.
You try as a driver very hard. You anticipate and you know it's coming, but sometimes even as much as you prepared yourself and you think it might happen, you can't catch it, and I couldn't keep up with it there. We just got a little problem we got to work out.
Sometimes when you feel them come loose, you can short shift it or shift early and it'll help.
Yeah, sometimes you can do that, or you can pedal it, come off the throttle all the way back on, but it's so quick and so fast that it's really difficult to do. I thought about it then, but by the time you thought, it's over with. It's too late.
For some funny car action, and that is John Force, Steve Evans, and a real force in funny car competition at this point.
Yes, he is, but talk about a force. How about Don Prudhomme, the winningest funny car driver of all time, 4 world championships to his credit. And Brock, I feel that these are the most violent race cars in all the world of motorsports.
And the noisiest and most spectacular as well, Steve. I only wish the people at home could smell these things. They had some kind of smell-o-vision. The nitro fumes will just bring tears to your eyes.
John Force of Fullerton, California, is one of the toughest individuals, mentally and physically, that I've ever met. And this is Force's idol. Don Prudhomme, they call him the Snake. Granada Hills, California. That is a Pontiac Firebird. Well, a replica of a Pontiac Firebird.
Has won world championships in both funny cars and top fuel. The only man ever to do that, and one of the singly most successful race drivers in history in all kinds of motorsports.
And these cars are just a bear to drive, Brock. They shake and they rattle. They sometimes even roll. Of course, fire, the biggest danger with the engine in the front-mounted location. The only thing separating the driver from that engine is a thin aluminum firewall.
And also, Steve, don't forget, these guys don't carry either tape decks or air conditionings in these things. Don't forget John Force. He knocked off Billy Meyer, who was on a big hot streak.
And John Force, in our interview earlier, said that he'd risk a red light if that's what it took to get by the competition today.
Well, no red light and a good start, but John Force comes to a halt early in the going, and Don Prudhomme makes a strong pass, 599, 212, to take that race. John Force broke earlier in the going, and that was the end of it for him. Unfortunate for John Force, but he is through for the day here at Columbus. As for Don Prudhomme, a 599, a pretty good ET, low top speed, 212 miles an hour. He obviously shut it off in the lights when he saw he'd won. Tom McEwen, the Mongoose, in his car, ready to go after the racetrack is clear to John Force's machine. That'll take a couple of minutes. In the meantime, Don Prudhomme is out of his car and will have a chance to reflect on his easy victory.
Well, in this sport, the wind lights make you smile, but when there's rounds to go, the 599s don't. Snake, what happened? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, I think so. It just fell off. We made a jet change, and the track was loose in the middle, and it used the engine up during the three-quarter mark of the course. So, it just slowed up.
All right, so Don Prudhomme goes to the semifinals, and at least he thinks he knows how to get back into that 580 track. There's still hope.
There's always hope when the Snake is on the racetrack, as he gets ready to go back and find a few more horsepower out of that big V8. In the meantime, the smoke is clearing for some burnouts between these two gentlemen, Tom McEwen and the world champion, Frank Hawley.
Frank Hawley really represents the new generation of drag racer, Brock. He's in his late 20s, and as you said, has won the world title 2 times. And has worn that mantle very, very well. He's excellent with the press, goes out of his way to expose the sport of drag racing, to encourage youngsters not to street race, to do it on NHRA-sanctioned drag strip. Just a fine all-around guy. And so, of course, is Tom McEwen of Fountain Valley, California. If he's not racing his funny car in the quarter of a mile, you'll find him in SoCal at Los Alamitos Racetrack racing his horses in a quarter of a mile.
It's all 1,320 feet, no matter how you cut it with McEwen. One of the real veterans and one of the best-known racing personalities in the United States. Survey after survey reveals that everybody's heard of the Mongoose.
And a very glib guy, Brock. An excellent interview. He'll often go to the timing tower and work with the PA announcer and entertain the crowd. Just a terrific guy.
Frank Hawley runs for Austin Coyle out of the Chicago area, also one of the great fixtures in drag racing. Relatively independently financed operation, Steve, as compared to some of the other high buck operations.
That's right. They exist on what they win.
And they win a lot with Frank Hawley inside that machine. Hawley, very good with the lights, generally a very consistent race driver, not prone to mistakes.
Austin Coyle has had 11 drivers in the long line of Chi-Town Hustler automobiles. He tells me that Frank is the best of the lot because he can do things down the racetrack. He has just a magic quality with that throttle foot to keep those tires from spinning.
Yeah, you'll very seldom see Hawley get the car sideways, have to go up and smoke, red light it, and do all the mistakes that you do in one of these things.
But right now he's behind Tom McEwen and not catching up. It is Tom McEwen enjoying his finest season of performance in a long time. 592 for the Mongoose at 249 miles an hour. He can go quicker than that, I think. And here is the giant killer, Sherm Gunn of Azusa, California, who knocked off Kenny Bernstein in round number 1 with his 6-year-old race car. Now Sherman is up against the blue car from Dallas, Texas. Raymond Beadle in the Blue Max. There is no more popular funny car in the drag racing sport. Now, all of these drivers know Sherm Gunn very well because most of them are customers at his California race car shop. Sherm specializes in building the interior aluminum for these cars, and Raymond Beadle won't have anyone else do his 10, as they call it, because he feels that Sherm's is the best at keeping the fire off your body.
And that is mighty important in one of these things. As we said, the engine right up front, it's practically in your lap, and these things have been known to go up like giant firecrackers if you feed too much fuel to them.
Raymond Beadle with the emergency hatch open. There's no problem with the car other than that it's darned hot inside, and the only way you get a little ventilation, in fact, they do carry air conditioning, Brock. All you do is open that escape hatch.
I stand corrected. In fact, Sherm Gunn's got his window down, too, so he's going to stay nice and cool.
Well, Sherm doesn't have the latest in aerodynamics. You talked earlier about the pungent aroma of nitromethane fuel, Brock. That could be a problem for the drivers were it not for some very special equipment in the helmet area. Whoa! The nitro fumes can get pretty intense, even in the pit area when they're just warming up the cars. And you know, back in the early 50s, the first fellow to run nitro was a guy named Fran Hernandez. And there was no way Fran could keep it a secret, for obvious reasons. And along about the early 60s, when the drivers were becoming nauseous from the fumes, the breather mask was conceived. A filtered mask made the driver a good deal more comfortable. And even today, Raymond Beadle still uses this trusty device, along with his old, rather battered, full-coverage helmet. But here right now is the latest technology in helmets. In fact, Mark Oswald of the Candies and Hughes team just got this helmet yesterday. The breathers are built into it, and it has a fireproof Nomex sock made out of carbon fiber. The entire helmet weighs less than 2 pounds. And also brand new on this helmet is the double layer goggles. In case of fire, this top layer can burn off, and still the driver will have some vision with that second layer. You'll see motocross riders even using these helmets today without this sock to filter out the dust and the dirt. So even in the helmet department, the technology marches on.
And so do the race cars. That's the front wheel of Raymond Beadle's Blue Max moving into the staging lights. That is the 84 Camaro of Sherm Gunn's in the foreground.
Well, it may be an 84 Camaro body, but looking under it is a 1978 race car chassis. Now, Raymond Beadle has an 18-wheeler full of parts and pieces. Not so Sherm Gunn. In fact, there's already some smoke coming out of the right bank of Sherm Gunn's engine. But Sherm Gunn very alert on the lights. The engine's starting to fade for Gunn. It is Raymond Beadle all the way. Beadle wins it at a 593, 247 miles per hour. So for Sherm Gunn, the day is over, but with some good memories, defeating Bernstein in round 1, his best ever effort.
Well, Raymond Beadle goes on as the Blue Max eases to a stop up there at the far end of the racetrack, but we've got another pair. That is the Candies and Hughes car, driven by Mark Oswald, one of the strongest runners in funny car competition. Going up against him is Gary Southern, Glendora, California. Not quite as well known a competitor in this particular kind of competition, Steve.
No, but Gary Southern has driven everything in drag racing, top fuelers, you name it. In his early days, he was a go-kart champion. And I would tell you, Southern is quite an outdoorsman. He is also now a professional bass fisherman, in addition to hunting and all kinds of outdoor activities. Mark Oswald has an awful lot of fans and even family in the grandstand because he's from Cincinnati, Ohio, but spends most of his time these days in Houma, Louisiana, Louisiana, working on the bright red Firebird. This is Gary Southern, Glendora, California. He's got 4 children. In fact, one of the boys is a professional baseball player, a pitcher.
He's got to be mighty proud of that. And a good-looking race car. This is a new tempo-bodied funny car that Gary's brought here to Columbus, and it's really well turned out. Not a whole lot of sponsorship signage along the side of the car. He runs it independently, but he does a good job with it. The car, beautifully turned out, and it's going to have to be to beat the man in the other lane.
Well, a lot of people feel the Candies and Hughes car is the best prepared in funny car racing. And Mark Oswald, very savvy when it comes to track conditions. Earlier, Brock asked him if there were ideal conditions.
Mark, if you had your absolute choice in terms of sea level or altitude, in terms of temperature, time of day, humidity levels, what would you pick? If you could dial in the weather and the location and the geography, inland, on the seacoast, in the mountains, on the deserts, where would you like to run, and exactly what, if you could pick the optimum weather and conditions, what would you choose?
If I wanted to build my optimum racetrack, I'd build it in Death Valley as low as I could get it, and I'd put a big forest all around it so there's a lot of oxygen off the trees. That'd be about the ultimate.
How about temperature?
Oh, I'd say around 50 degrees, 60 degrees in that range. Plenty cool.
Do you like that for the tires or for the engine?
Well, it depends on the racetrack, too. A lot of the racetracks, they like this track here particularly, will get a problem if it gets real hot. They like to be cooler, too. The concrete, you don't really need that heat for the racetrack to be good. And the supercharger heats the air going into the engine so much, the cooler the air going in, the better off you are.
Okay, now you're going to be running in 90-degree temperatures here all weekend. What kind of specific changes will you make in the race car to compensate for that?
It just burns less fuel volume. You have to take a little bit of fuel volume away from it, and you just play with it a little bit, and we can get her there.
Okay, well, good luck. It seems like it's working so far.
Yeah, it is. Good.
Well, Brock, if we think we're hot, imagine Mark Oswald and Gary Southern in 5-layer fire suits. That's like being inside a baked potato.
And a mighty noisy one at that. Plenty uncomfortable in these race cars.
They leave right together, but Gary Southern better have an afterburner if he's going to catch Mark Oswald. Look at that. 585, 243 miles an hour. Mark Oswald advances to the semifinals, where it will be Oswald versus Raymond Beadle in the Blue Max, and Don the Snake Prudhomme meets his old rival Tom McEwen.
All right, that is a funny car. This is Columbus, Ohio, the Spring Nationals, and that automobile belongs to one of the great veterans in this sport, Don Prudhomme. He is going to go up against this man, Tom McEwen, and between them, they've got over 40 years of big league drag racing experience. Earlier, Steve had a chance to talk to Don about that endless rivalry with Tom McEwen.
Been doing this a long time, this jungle warfare, the snake and the mongoose. He's got a lane choice here, but not a big advantage, I don't think.
Well, no, he's been running pretty consistent, and we run a little quicker earlier in the rounds, and we had some trouble last round, which of course gave him lane choice. But depends on that left lane is. I still think we can do a pretty good job over there.
He likes that lane choice. He says, I like the feeling of power it gives me to tell him where to go.
Yeah, yeah, he does. Of course, I like that too, But it'll be a fun race. And if we get off to a good start together and we don't have any trouble getting the tires loose and so on, I think we can put him away.
This is so much of a guessing game. The car goes a little slower that round. You come back here with your mechanic, Bob Brandy, and you really start guessing a lot.
You really do. You guess way before you get back to the pit, Steve. You guess, as the thing was going into high gear, I knew what was wrong with it, and had to make some quick decisions on what to do on our way back to the pits. We discuss things like that in the tow vehicle, and we get back here, we pretty much know what to do.
Well, we look forward to watching anytime you and Tom get together. It's always fun.
It'll be a good race.
It sure will be. Whenever you hook a pair of superstars up like this, you know it's going to be hot. It'll be interesting to see whether the combination that Prudhomme chose after his last race will work, because this racetrack is getting mighty slick, Steve.
And Don Prudhomme absolutely hates to lose to Tom McEwen. He hates to lose, period. But to McEwen, that just breaks his back.
Well, the McEwen has got the good lane here, and that might spell the difference in this particular race.
Oh, McEwen is going to the starting line with all the confidence in the world. In the win-loss column, Prudhomme has won far more than McEwen over the years, but this one is going to belong to the mongoose. Don Prudhomme, too much tire smoke. Tom McEwen on to one of his best runs ever, a 587 at 251 miles an hour. The goose is tough today.
He sure is. As we see Don Perdome coasting down the racetrack, he didn't even pop the chute on that one. That was a disastrous run right from the time he dropped the clutch.
And now all he can hope is that McEwen doesn't stop by his trailer and nag him about it.
Well, there you see Don Perdome just immediately lighting up those tires, and from there on in, it was all McEwen.
Don Perdome doing a lot of steering in all of that tire smoke. Some kind of race car driver.
That was probably a clutch setup that just didn't work.
Exactly. An awful lot of times you'll try to make horsepower with the clutch. In other words, put more horsepower to the rear tires instead of building it in the engine. And when you try to do that, it's a calculated risk.
Well, let's see how it works with this man's adjustments. That's Fred Miller. We saw him working on Raymond Beadle's clutch a little bit earlier. That, of course, is a critical adjustment, and it will only be a matter of seconds before Raymond Beadle finds out how Fred Miller did with his clutch.
And their opponent will be Mark Oswald, who has that favored right-hand lane. Right now doing his burnout in the red Pontiac Firebird. You'll remember, Brock, years ago in drag racing, you smoked the tires intentionally. That's just the way it was, all the way to the finish line sometimes. And along came what they call the slider clutch. The clutch actually slips. You can adjust the amount of slippage so that the excess horsepower goes up in clutch dust instead of tire smoke.
Exactly. It used to be the object just to hook that clutch up as tight as possible and eliminate slippage. But now that the science has come into the game, the clutch becomes as important as gear ratios used to be, or all kinds of tire pressures and all kinds of other components. The clutch is a critical component now.
And these are 3-disc clutches. You have one disc in a passenger car. Well, there's 3 of them inside a funny car clutch, and it's kind of like a hydromatic in some ways. You just step on the pedal and it goes.
Exactly. And remember, too, in the old days, it used to be direct drive. You just put them in gear and go. But now there is a gear change about halfway down the racetrack in a funny car, and in a top fuel dragster as well.
That's right. It's just a matter of pushing a button or pulling a lever, depending on the setup. You don't have to depress the clutch like you would in a street car.
Well, again, it's a question of so much real surplus horsepower. I mean, we talk about 2,500, 3,000. Nobody really knows, but we do know this. There's more than you need.
Well, more than you need at the starting line, but you need every bit of it at the other end of the racetrack. So many times, it's one down there. We're ready. Mark Oswald, Raymond Beadle right together. Oswald starts to pull out with an advantage. It is Mark Oswald going into the final round at 589, 242 miles an hour. And that 589 means Tom McEwen will have lane choice with his quicker 587.
So as Mark Oswald coasts to a stop, let's take another look at that race. Pretty even off the line. Raymond Beadle going head for head with Mark Oswald. It looks like maybe Beadle's got a little bit of an edge at this point, but at the far end of the racetrack, it's Mark Oswald with big horsepower to go on to take that victory. So Mark Oswald into the finals.
Well, Mark, you got a little lucky there. Beadle was closing fast.
Yeah, it was close. I wanted to drive in the chute. I had a little trouble getting stopped the last 2 times.
Yeah, it looked like you shut off before he did.
Yeah, I clicked it a little early. We've been kind of wounding the motor a little bit, and I want to save it as much as possible. I felt that I was ahead, so I clicked it.
We just learned that you've lost lane choice by 0.02 of a second to Tom McEwen in the final.
Well, it's not too big a deal. This racetrack's held up real good. I think we can make a good run in the left lane.
All right, go get him.
Funny car finals. That is Mark Oswald in the Candies and Hughes Trans Am. Against him, the old pro, the mongoose, Tom McEwen. What do you think, Steve?
Well, I think that Tom McEwen has more confidence today than I have seen in a long, long time, since maybe the late 70s. He's got the performance. His driving has never been better. He's got lane choice. Everything is in his court. Mark Oswald, well, he was about 13 years old when Tom McEwen first started drag racing. It is Mark Oswald all the way. Tom McEwen loses traction, even though he had the favored lane. Oswald, one of the few cars to really quickly get down the near lane at 590, 251 miles an hour. And a popular victory for the Ohio native.
Absolutely. Lots of Mark Oswald fans here as we take one more look at a race that turned out to be over in a matter of feet. Oswald on the left side. There goes Tom McEwen boiling his tires. He quits immediately. Mark Oswald goes on to victory.
So Mark Oswald avenges a final round loss here a year ago to Raymond Beadle to pick up his 3rd NHRA title. One of only 2 drivers to have ever won NHRA national events in Top Fuel and Funny Car, Don Perdome being the other one. Congratulations, Spring Nationals champion.
Thank you, Steve. I didn't think we'd ever get one this year.
I don't know what happened to McEwen, but he was out of it early.
Yeah, I don't know. I never really saw him at all. I don't know if he had a problem smoking the tires or what.
Well, it looks like you went up a little conservative, a 5:90 elapsed time. Cardinal Paul Candice giving the high five to Mark. How did you set it up?
Well, we just tried to get down the track again. We've been trying to compensate in the final rounds, and we've been losing. You know, we've been trying to keep making it go quicker, and we decided to just go with it the same and try to win the race.
And you have certainly now matured as a funny car driver. No one can call this kid a rookie anymore. Paul Candice, congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Fine young man here.
My guys did a great job. Best team in drag racing. It doesn't get any better than this.
Well, it certainly doesn't. They also leave here with the lead towards a potential world championship.